If I had one word to describe this episode, that word would be epic! Dr. Stone Season 2 is starting to become one of my favorite animes, if not my favorite anime of the season. I expected it to be good, but not this good. So in this video, I will be reviewing the third episode of Dr. Stone. But some of you guys might be asking, so why didn't you upload anything about the last two episodes? Well, that's actually a very good question. The main reason I haven't uploaded is because I was extremely busy with my online business called The Sassy Soap. Check it out, link in the description. But on a serious note though, I was just being lazy and making up excuses, as seen from my inconsistent upload schedule, so I'll try my best to upload consistently from now on. Anyways, back to the video itself. Because I skipped 2 weeks, I will be going through the first 2 episodes. Of course, I won't be going in depth with it, cause I'll mainly focus on the third episode, so if you guys just want to skip to the third episode, I'll leave the timestamp here. And by the way, it actually turns out that over 90% of you guys aren't subscribed. So, just subscribe, man. The way the season started went as I expected. The first half was basically a recap of the first season, and as they were getting done building the phone that they started the previous season, of course, Senku suggests that they should make space food for them to be able to sustain themselves through the winter, and it will sort of give them a leg up against Tsukasa's empire. And towards the end of the episode, Senku and his mentalist, I forgot his name, were having a conversation. The mentalist suggests that they give the cell phone to Taiju and the E-Thought, then let one of Tsukasa's members listen to the voice message, and by that time the mentalist will then impersonate Lillian and say that the world hasn't been collapsed and the US will send help to Japan, thus ruining Tsukasa's plan. And if you guys don't know who Lillian is, she is the same dudette who sang the song in the last episode of the first season. Yes, that cringy song in English. I don't know why, but when I hear a song in English in a Japanese anime, I just cringe automatically. In the second episode, they wanted to get rid of the pink dudette with the thick lips, since they knew she was spying on them. So what Senku decided to do is let off some explosions to lure thick lips in. Then the blonde dudette will come and capture her. So as the explosions went off, thick lips naturally went to check what was happening. Then immediately out of nowhere, the blonde girl just came out with her cool ass samurai sword, but she just managed to slip away. Thankfully, Senku managed to throw a flash, but then again she managed to escape, and while she was looking at all of the people that were around her, she notices the 3 guys weren't there, so she assumes that the 3 guys might have taken the weapon of science to Tsukasa's base. She then tries to follow the 3 guys. Senku takes advantage of the situation, and they decided to follow her to attack her from both sides, as in trapping her from the front and back. The mentalist then suggests to trick Thick Lips into thinking that they are setting up a signal, and Blondie finally catches her, so the 3 continued to complete their mission of putting the cell phone in Senku's grave. And they barely managed to escape from that arrow guy, which is in my opinion a really nicely designed character. And probably the highlight of this episode is when Taiju was in tears while speaking to Senku. The episode starts off with Taiju and the E-Thought walking to Senku's grave. They've already showed this clip in the second episode, but this is just from a different perspective, and it turns out that one of Tsukasa's members was actually keeping an eye on them both. I don't know her name, so I'll call her Ape for now, because
Yo.
This scene specifically is arguably the best scene of the season so far. I mean, I got goosebumps myself while watching it. After almost 1 year of waiting, they've finally spoken to each other. I still can't believe it's been this long since we've seen Taiju. Then immediately after that, they play the OP. And I know I haven't touched on this in the previous episodes, but I'll talk about it now. The OP is just underwhelming. And if I'm being honest, I simply just don't like it. I expected it to be a lot better. In my opinion, I feel like it just doesn't suit the mood for the season. I feel like it should have been a bit more exciting, and after rewatching it a couple of times, I've noticed that I was watching it at 1.5 times speed. And yes, I watch my anime at 1.5 times speed. I do the same thing for my YouTube videos, but that's a different story. The point is when I set the speed on normal, it was even worse than it already was. I recommend listening to it at 1.5 or 1.25 times speed. Makes the OP just sound a lot better. After that, basically Senku orders Taiju to bring one of Tsukasa's guys to the cell phone to have a chat with. And of course, Taiju and the others don't know what Senku and the Mentalist are planning. As they've mentioned before in the previous episode, the Mentalist would pretend to be Lillian, a singer from the US, and she'd claim that America was going to help Japan, just like what they did before.
And kills 50 to 60 to 70,000 people. We are now into a completely new era.
Perhaps 100,000 people incinerated.
Please don't cancel me. The Mentalist, Muscle Man, and fake Senku were stuck in between the bushes, and even one slight move could get them killed. That's because your boy Arrow Man can hear shit 10 yards away. So then Budget Senku throws a bomb like a true jihadist to distract the Arrow guy. Both him and Muscle Man moved towards the Arrow guy whilst the Mentalist went back to Senku. And I have to admit, at first I thought the animation wasn't going to be good, since we haven't seen a ton of action from the first season, so I naturally expected this season to have a lot more, but the way they executed it was honestly astonishing. Especially the scene in episode 2 where she pulled out the samurai sword. That gave me a ton of Demon Slayer vibe. Taiju then follows suit with Senku's plan and asks the ape for something. The ape goes monkey mode, pun totally intended, and starts punching Taiju. And even after 1 year, Taiju is the same exact person. The ape keeps hitting him and he doesn't even respond. Taiju doesn't even want one blood to be shed. So then he somehow convinces the ape to accept the call. The Mentalist then pretends to be Lillian and Senku pretends to be the manager. I honestly found it really funny when they tried to speak in English. They were like, "Hero, I am from Japan." Yes, that is coming from a guy who sounds like an ex-ISIS member. But it actually turns out that the ape is a big of the blonde dudette. Yes, just like these cringy K-pop fans. And sadly, this sort of disease has even spread into the middle ass. The ape then asks Lillian a few questions to make sure if she's the real thing. Unfortunately, she discovers that Lillian wasn't actually real. So Senku then makes her an offer. He'll keep her the CD or recording of Lillian's song on a condition that she would join the team of science. Blah blah blah. Everyone is happy, the episode ends. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode, from the animation even to the soundtrack, except for the Lillian one of course. But my main gripe with this episode is the OP. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's just not good. I mean, even the ED sounds more like an ED than the actual OP. But what I didn't expect from the season is not having any bloody fights. It seems that they might be trying to convince every single person to join their team secretly, so in that way they could revolt against Tsukasa, which in my opinion would be a lot more interesting than just a bunch of people punching each other. So that wraps up the episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. So anyways, my name is Soap, and I'll see you in another video. Hey you, do you have friends? Do you have a family? Why not join the most epic Discord server in the world? You can message me, chat with others, and talk about soap.
You know how much you mean to me. Why must you leave? I'm just a flower